All right, students, hello again. Welcome to math. Remember, the only class that counts, right? Hey, we're doing a little bit more on proportions today. Going to finish off this whole ratios, rates, and proportions with that fun, wonderful word of story problems and real life applications. It's not going to be as scary as it seems. I'm just going to remind you of all the tools that we have. Then we'll do one or two of them, but you can choose the tool that works best for you. So we're going to dive right in and discuss ratios, rates, proportions, and solving problems. If you'll remember, in solving proportions, we've now solved them a few different ways. So on your notes, if you'll just remind yourself how you have solved proportions. Let's say we had something like 2/3 equals 4/6, or one of these numbers was unknown. Remember, we can cross multiply to get the same number. And you can see here that 12 is 12. You can, oh, look, I can go from 4 to 6 a certain way, or 2 to 3 a certain way by multiplying by 1.5. Or you can go across 2 and 4. If you multiply 2 times 2, make sure you multiply 3 times 2. We have the arrows here. Those were all the ways we learned that you can compare in a proportion if two fractions are equal. So if I don't know what this 6 is, I know that, well, let's see, it's 2 times 2 is 4, so multiply 3 times 2. Or if I don't know what this 4 is, I know that 2 times 6 is 12. So 3 times whatever it is that gives me 12 is what that would be. That was one way we learned how to solve proportions. Then another way we learned is if we have a table. You've seen some tables with some x and y values. And let's say that as we work through this, the x values are 1, 2, 3, 4, and the y values, what were they? They might have been 3, 6, 9. You had to figure out what this last one was. Well, you know that on each one of these, you're multiplying by 3. So on 4, you multiply that by 3, and that gives you the 12. We've learned about this number that keeps showing up. On this one, we multiplied things by 2 to get across. Here we multiplied by 3. We learned about the constant of proportionality, or y. That's why we use a pencil. Y over x equals that number that keeps showing up over and over again. And once we know that number that keeps showing up, we can then use that to solve it. And I told you that both of these equations were the same. We just multiplied both sides by x. So if you see an equation like this or like this, it's a proportional reasoning. And then finally, we talked a little bit about the xy axis. Here's the x and here's the y. And that a proportion is solved regardless of what numbers we have there. If you have a straight line, is that straight? A straight line through the origin. So it passes through 0, 0, and if it's more straight than the one I just drew, and if it's a straight line, then you can just compare, whatever number is here where it crosses the line with the x number there. You can compare them that way. Those are the ways that we've learned to solve proportions. And in all of these examples, you notice we're either multiplying or dividing. Whether this number or that number, we're multiplying out or dividing down. And this one multiplying by 3, or if you work backward, dividing by 3. And here it's multiplying by 2. You're always with proportions, multiplying or dividing. If you ever add in an addition to it or adding a number here or there, that moves this line up. That means it's not a proportion anymore. If you add 3 or something to the equation, that's going to mean that it's not proportional. It's all about multiplying and dividing. Okay? So with that information, we then move to solving proportions. And on this worksheet, for example, it's a matter of using the one that works best. So on this one, I've got 1 tub of blueberries for 8. How many tubs for 16? I know that I can create, it's solving proportions and rounding your answer to the nearest whole number. So on this, 1 tub, so 1 tub is $8. And I can compare that proportionally to how many tubs for $16. And on every one of these, you'll want to write out one of the tricks choose one of the tricks that work on here, and I'll give you a hint on these. They're mainly always going to be the fraction ones. Then you can solve it. Well, let's see. If I can multiply, I can cross multiply to make them equal, or I can go straight across. And you see that 8 times 2. So 1 you have to multiply by 2. So t equals 2. That's one example. Another one. What if we do this one right here? 18 cans of pineapples are $30. And I'm just going to show you. You can do it however you want. You can do $30 on top. Equals, let's see, how many cans? So we don't know how many cans. You have to write the fractions in the same order. So the cans is on the bottom for $10. And then once you've written out the proportion, you can look for a way to solve it. Cross multiplying would give you 180. So 30 times that. Or if you can go straight across, 10 times something is 30. That's 10 times 3. So what do you multiply by 3 to get 18? That would be 6. So C is 6. And then finally, let's find one over here. Let's see, a rectangle is 4.7 and 3.4. We got wide and tall. If it's enlarged where the height is 6.8, how wide will it be? So build the proportion with the numbers they give you. It's 4.7 over 3.4. That's for tall. Let's see. That's for wide and tall. If it's enlarged to a height of that tall, and that's the height, 6.8, because that's tall and that's the height. What is this number going to be? Well, just to show you another way, I'll do the cross multiplication way this time. So the 4.7 times 6.8 is 31.96. So we know that 31.96 equals 3.4x. Then to get the x by itself, divide by 3.4. And whatever 31.96 divided by 3.4 is 9.4. So on this one, x is 9.4. So in each of these proportion problems that you're trying to solve, you're just setting up either the equation or you can set up a table. I didn't do any tables on these, but you can set up a table of the width and the original and the new. And you can set up the tables like we've done. Whichever of these ways feels most comfortable to you to solve a proportion, whether it's to draw a graph or build a table or use the fractions. Like I showed you that because that's mainly what you'll see. Or if you want to write the equation with whatever that number is that keeps showing up over and over again. All right, give that a shot. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this version of Math by Video. Bye-bye.